top of the very latest in the Crystal Rogers verdict. A maximum sentence is what the jury is recommending for Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson. Alina Noakes is live there in the courthouse with the very latest developments. Alina, the maximum, what does this say for the jury?
Well, I would say they were pretty certain with the verdict they came down with, Myra, because they returned that sentencing recommendation in just 5 minutes after the prosecution and defense gave their closing statements. That is, again, if you are just catching up, murder for life, tampering 5 years. That is the maximum on both of those for Brooks Houck, and they would be served consecutively, meaning life in prison. Joseph Lawson, 20 years on the conspiracy to murder charge, also the maximum, as well as 5 years maximum for the tampering with evidence, also to be served consecutively. Like I said, I think this speaks to the jury's certainty about the conviction they came down with, finding them guilty on all of those charges, and maybe even the statements that were made by the defense and prosecution there before they went back for a sentencing recommendation portion. We did hear from the prosecution, that's Shane Young, kind of emphasizing the sheer magnitude of this case, being that this is a man who had 5 kids with this woman, Crystal Rogers, and that the children she had haven't seen their youngest brother, that shared son with Crystal Rogers that he had since Crystal Rogers disappeared. He says basically that Brooks Houck did not care about these kids, and he didn't care about Crystal Rogers. He emphasizes the fact that they are now going without a mother for the rest of their lives to see all of these important events in their lives. Now, the defense asked for leniency in this case, but the prosecution really doubled down, saying that this is a life sentence for these kids. It's not just a life sentence for Brooks Houck. These kids now have no mother to watch them grow up and no mother to continue to raise them. So he was very adamant that nobody has the right to take someone else's life and get away with it. He says this is basically a perfect crime until that flat tire on Crystal Rogers' car on the Bluegrass Parkway. That was the piece of this puzzle that just did not fall into place for this conspiracy to murder Crystal Rogers, and that is what got them caught up in the end. We are waiting on the family to come out of the courtroom, and the media were released before anybody else came out of the courtroom. So if you see us looking behind us, it's because we are waiting for them to come back in, Myra.
Alina, what was the reaction in the courtroom when the jury made that recommendation?
I mean, if you can imagine, this has been 10 years. It was just pure relief. As soon as the verdict came down, we heard immediate tears. The family right behind me trying to really stifle their cries because there are supposed to be no outburst in the courtroom. However, Brooks Houck's family on the opposite side of the courtroom behind the defense table seemingly gave no reaction to either the conviction or the sentencing recommendation, and especially when that life sentence came out of the judge's mouth. That was something that almost more so you would expect than just the conviction that they heard just minutes prior. So it really, I mean, this is 10 years, a culmination of 10 years of unanswered questions that they now have an answer to, Myra.
All right, Alina Noakes, thank you so much. We're going to be talking to Alina throughout the day. You could hear folks cheering in the background as Alina was talking. Leland Holbert is our legal analyst giving us insight into this case. Leland, just minutes. That is quick. We saw 4 hours for them to make a decision as far as the verdict, and just minutes for the sentencing phase.
Right. I think it speaks volumes of how strongly the jury felt to go to the maximum level of the penalty in that short of time is like a sledgehammer. I mean, they clearly had no feelings for Mr. Houck or Mr. Lawson in this case, and it tells me that they've been feeling this way for some time. You don't come to that fast a decision, because I think the defense argued that in the sentencing phase that Mr. Houck didn't have any prior criminal record, and typically if you have no one with a criminal record and some sympathy, you're not going to see a maximum penalty, and you're not going to see it in 5 minutes. So my guess is once this jury believed that Brooks Houck was lying, they they have venom for him. I mean, this is an extremely strong verdict, and I think they just, like I said, they hit with a sledgehammer. They didn't take a lot of time on this, which makes me think they're united. I mean, you have to have 12 people agree on something, which in our society these days is
Very hard.
extremely difficult. And you had 12 people agree that this man should go to prison for the rest of his life, and they did it in 5 minutes. So I don't think they can send any stronger of a message than they did.
Okay, you've been hearing us talk about, certain words. This is a recommendation from the jury. Now it goes to the judge, and the judge is the ultimate deciding factor on how long or what he believes is right.
Right, and nothing I've seen from these 2 trials and from this judge makes me think he's going to go against the jury's recommendation. Judges typically have a lot of respect for the jury's process, the jury's power, and the jury's decision. And if they do something incredibly out of bounds, then potentially the judge could walk it down. But I don't see that happening in this case.
Does that happen right away? Like, so they made the recommendation. Is the judge turn around or does he take a break typically? How does that work?
Typically, if they have the sentencing phase today and it's not in another time, then the judge can echo and stamp what the jury has done today. That would likely happen. If the verdicts go a different way, sometimes there's talk, and there's like in the P. Diddy trial, like, should he be released now before sentencing? Sentencing's months down the road. Well, there may be a separate day for a return to sentencing, but today I think the judge will acknowledge the jury's term of years and sentence them accordingly.
Okay, Leland, thank you so much. And again, we'll be talking to Leland throughout our newscast today. Appreciate you. And you can find our complete coverage on this trial that we have on our